selling their business.
Well, you buy it.
This session is not just for you. This session is for everybody. This session isn't about building up your business to sell. It's about building a business with from a sustainable platform. So it's about building a better business, not just, so when you look at it, you think, well, I'm not going to sell it next year. This is irrelevant for me now. It's massively relevant for me now. So I'm just going to introduce Dave. Dave Welling, one of our counselors, great session on building a better business or a thought on valuation. So welcome, Dave.
Thank you.
Yes,
Great, really going to clap before you say it. So I've got the unenviable. This is the graveyard. Telling your body all the blood to your stomach. So I thought we should stretch. I mean, we've also got professional following me, so I'm going to have a bit before the normal show. We'll have a go at covering quite a lot of ground in an hour. Have all of you got one of those walking around in front of you? Just set it aside for the moment, you can be using it a bit later. Anyone not got one? No? Okay. Right, here we go. So, what's all this about? And so, what I want to cover with you is this thing called enterprise value. So, what is it? Why is it important to kind of planning work that you're doing now? And how could you start to apply it to your experience? So, what is it, first of all? Anyone know already what enterprise value means?
The value of the business.
The value of the business, pretty good start. That would do it, really. It's in corporate speak, people will talk about shareholder value, but it's basically what the business is worth. Just to amplify that point Mary-Ellen made in the introduction there, that does not mean this is a session about selling business. Okay? There is one of those a bit later in the programme. This is about building value. Okay? But how does a potential buyer know what the business is worth? How do they value it?
Value of your assets.
Value of assets might come into it. Yeah, quality of order book, multiplier of profits. Multiplier of profits.
Property management structure.
So, yeah, the way you're running the business itself, yeah.
Growth potential.
Something over here.
Growth potential.
Growth potential. Yeah, absolutely. So just keep those ideas flowing around. The reality is that what it's worth is what it's worth to a buyer, isn't it? And so you'll never really know until you find someone who wants to pay for it. And it's a bit like you've got a bit of a hand of cards in your business. And, how valuable that hand of cards is depends on what the other person's got in their hand. So if what you've got makes a good hand when you put it together with this, and that person is going to be more interested and would see more value in your business than someone where, I've got dead rubber, basically you put those two together. So what we're talking about is really quite conceptual, and you'll only ever know what business is worth when somebody gets their check. In truth. But so how do people value businesses? Well, technically, I suppose you could look on the balance sheet and look at the net worth of the business. The book value or net worth or net assets, all these complicated terms that gets used. It's not very interesting to most people. Some people are talking about growth and quality of the management of the business and quality of the pipeline, things like that. You can't find any of that in that number, can you? That just tells you what the value of the assets is, basically. So it might be useful in a fire sale. In a very capital-intensive business, which there aren't a lot of those in the room, it might have a bearing on value. But for most of your businesses, your book value hasn't really got much to do with the value of your business, is it? No? Not much use to us. And of course, if you say, well, in the big PLC world, you've got this market capitalisation, you've got so many shares that are in circulation, and there's a value on those shares today. You put it in the FT and find the value. You multiply the number of shares by the value, and that's the market capitalisation of that company. So you want to buy British American tobacco, it's £28 billion or something. That's what. So you might decide you'll pay more or less depending on the hand of cards thing, but at least there is a value. You haven't got one of those, have you? Because there's no liquidity in your shares. They're private companies, so we've got no reference points there. So where everybody falls back is to this profit multiple, which was the point somebody made down here, which is how many years of profit is your business worth? Somebody else talked about growth, quality of the pipeline. And of course, you're not buying the historic profits of a business, are you? Buying the expectation of future profits. And more specifically, you're actually buying the cash flow. You're buying the expectation of a future cash flow. That's what someone's paying for. And so what they're doing is saying, well, I reckon the kind of annual profitability of this thing is X, and I'm prepared to pay this many years worth of that for the business. So the multiple is the number of years of that predicted profit that they're prepared to pay. And that equals the enterprise value of the company. Now, here's the irony.
Sorry, with the multiplier, is there any... I know it varies a lot between different markets and stuff and different types of companies, but is there any way you could kind of get a guideline feel for what it should be? Is there...
Yeah, can I deal with it in about 3 slides?
Oh,
I will, promise. If I don't, kill me. Another way of looking at your business then, and therefore potentially your plan, is not to look to the left-hand side here, because that's where we all spend our time looking. We think about the quantity of profit in the business. What do you measure in the business? Is your business doing well this year? What do you measure? Quantity of profits. Yeah. You're looking at your P&L, don't you? And of course that is being driven by 2 things. It's the rate of growth and the profit margins in the business. And that's where most of the management energy goes. Agree? Yeah. So let's be a bit left field then and think about the idea of quality of profit. And what do you think I mean by quality of profit?
Longevity of customers.
Longevity of customers.
Sustainability of making it.
Yeah, so that sustainability word is already quite strong in the thinking there, isn't it? Because someone's buying the expectation of future cash flow. No good showing them your nice history book if they can't believe that that's going to continue into the future. So really the rest of this session is actually about that side of the diagram. It's about the quality of profits. Okay? That's what makes this session quite distinct from almost every other. Because we obsess on the quantity, we measure it all the time, we pay accountants a load of money to tell us what it is, to always do it for us. Nobody really looks at that quality formally. So if you start working on that, you're already sorting yourself out from the pack here, I think. Because a business that makes £1 million of profit, that actually is valued on a multiple of 4 times that profit. Has an enterprise value of 4 million. It's just maths, isn't it? You could have a business that's producing £750,000 on a multiple of 7 has a higher enterprise value. Now, only you can decide from where you're sitting which of those is more interesting to you to own, to run. Why might you be more interested in the one with the lower profit and the higher multiple?
Less work.
Less work.
Because you're doing less.
You could work. If the profit is equivalent to work.
Well, if you're having a run around to chase a whole bunch of customers and doing things that aren't quite as profitable, but you're doing a lot of it, you then accumulate a higher profit. But if you did less work, you actually might just focus on the other stuff.
Yeah.
So you've got an easier, more manageable
So
business run.
this might be a smarter business.
Yeah. Sorry, I spelled it.
Yeah.
You're less needed by the
Yeah. Yeah, someone's deciding there's something here that's really making this a much more attractive business, isn't it? And it could be, of course, that one of the reasons it's on a high multiple is that the owners of it are continually reinvesting in the growth and development of their people and the business. That's suppressing profits. If you keep taking it all out and don't sort of feed the plant, then you can see what will happen. In the end, you don't get the growth. And that will reflect in a lower multiple. Now, at this point, I'd just like to read that. I'm not going to comment on it. We're going to come back to it towards the end of the hour and have a second look at it through perhaps fresh eyes. Just going to read it. Done? Typical press release from the world of mergers and acquisitions at the end of someone's journey in the trade state of their business.